All right, it's time for another five more or less post-rock albums, and I got some good ones today. So, first off, we're going to talk about Explosions in the Sky, possibly the biggest post-rock band of them all, maybe. But they formed in 1999 in Texas. They have put out 7 full-length releases and a bunch of other stuff, which I'll get to later. But the best one is probably Those Who Tell the Truth. Longer title than that, but that opener, Greet Death, a lot of times I'll just play that song for someone and they're an immediate convert to Explosions in the Sky. Although that is definitely a career highlight, that song. But in terms of CDs, I have this one here. All of a Sudden, I Miss Everyone. And this is the 5th full-length album. My favorite one on here has got to be the opener, The Birth and Death of the Day. When it gets to the climax near the end, it's definitely something special. And this album brings back a lot of memories, just being in college and taking the Greyhound back home, taking the Greyhound to visit my girlfriend, that kind of stuff. Now wife, same girl. But yeah, this accompanied me for a lot of trips, and it's got a lot of memories. The one after that, Take Care, Take Care, I think they had reached far beyond their peak at that point, and that album I found kind of boring. And unfortunately, I have the same opinion somewhat of The Wilderness, their most recent full-length album from, I think it was 2016. This is on Temporary Residence. What we got here just comes in a sleeve. I haven't taken this one out in a while. There we go. So, Explosion in the Sky, probably most famously are known for doing the Friday Night Lights soundtrack. Growing up, my siblings and my parents really liked that show, but I never watched it. But they have done many soundtracks since then, and of course they do a great job of making a soundtrack, but it's just not the kind of thing I'm going to listen to at home. And I think those soundtrack style directions they took, it just started influencing their more recent albums. They just don't have the spark that the first 5 had. But it's still cool stuff. And I did a little bit of research. It seems like they have not toured since 2019 and haven't put out an album since 2016. So I saw some tour dates have been announced, but from what I see, it's all later this year in Europe and the States. I see nothing for Canada, but I would definitely see them. I've never seen them before, and it'd be a fun band to see live. Next up, Giant Squid. This is the Ichthyologist. I remember the day I bought this, I was so stressed out about something. It almost pains me to even look at this CD. It's kind of strange how those emotions stay with you, but you can barely remember what was bothering you. But this came out on Translation Loss in 2009. And Giant Squid are a post-metal prog rock band from California. They formed in 2002. This album was produced by Matt Bales, most famously from Pearl Jam, Mastodon, ISIS. He's produced a lot of cool things. But this is a concept album about the sea and man's relationship to it. And it's got very interesting vocals, and the vocalist actually was the vocalist for that band Kharada, Khorada, which was 3/4 of Agalloch with a new singer. And I liked that album when it came out, but that band's already broken up. But they have a cello player in this group. There's a vocal guest appearance from Anike of The Gathering. There's also flute, violin, harp. So it's post-metal with definitely some interesting instrumental touches. This is Maserati. This album's called Inventions for the New Season. Another Temporary Residence album. And I listened to a couple albums after this, and I thought they were cool, but somewhere along the way, I lost track. This is a double black vinyl. But what's my story with this album? I'm not trying to get Japanese bands confused, but they were opening for either Boris or Mono. And these guys were opening. I knew nothing about them. It's got a real driving rhythm section with soaring guitars. They have this interesting effect on the guitar that I've definitely heard before, but I can't put my finger on it. I was telling myself it was kind of some Van Halen influence, but then I was listening to the Van Halen songs and reminded me of it. I go, nope, it's not that. So I don't know what it's called. I'm sure the guitar players out there know what to refer to that as. Remember there was an Agalloch song on Marrow of the Spirit that featured it. But they do that a lot. And the drumming is definitely a real standout here. And I remember that's what caught our eye. My buddy was at the show with me, and we were just kind of looking at the drummer saying, you know, this guy's going ham. This guy is zoning out. And Jerry, he was an awesome drummer. And he unfortunately passed away in his 30s. Kind of a freak accident. Very sad. But Maserati, cool band. And they got some other cool releases. Finally, Northless. This is The Last Bastion of Cowardice. This came out on Halo of Flies and Gilead. And this one sticks out a little bit. It's definitely associated with post-metal, but definitely the heavier, more brutal, sludgy type. And this is the third album. Came out in 2017. And another double vinyl with clear. So some cool albums there. I think my highlight is going to be All of a Sudden I Miss Everyone by Explosions in the Sky. But that's it. Thanks for watching.